Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Slight bit of delay, but we are good. Oh. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. It's been a week, and I have a new desk, and things are gonna be a little weird as I try to figure out how the best to do things. But anyways, yeah, we're gonna go right into Blender. We're gonna, where's the Abby thing? Let's bring you over here. So yeah, Blender, boy howdy, I had a bit of a thing to deal with yesterday. Whew. Essentially, I was working in the ratio apartment, and we figured out part of why light groups weren't working so nicely. So yeah, I'm gonna try and do some light group work today, as well as preparing for particles. Notice I've remodeled some of the terrain here a bit. Yeah. I don't know if layers are going to be able to get up here or not, but we will see. Anyways, remodel terrain. So the volcano can be just barely seen out of sight from a few places. The smoke will rise up from it to give hints of things. Yeah, we're going to be remodeling some of this terrain over here specifically. Primarily, the reason for that is well, primary reason is that we're going to be preparing for steam particles, which are going to be vaguely emissive. Yeah. Other things. Yeah. Shoda, cat. Shoda, welcome to the chat. Ugh, hair in my mouth. Ugh. Sorry about that. That one was really in my mouth. Ugh. Okay. So, the first thing we're going to prepare for is particles for these little steam vent things here. And these are basically just like little pepperoni meshes that I have made. Although realistically, you know what they don't need on the bottom are those faces. Yeah. They do not need these big old faces on the backside. I'm going to have to go through all of these and make sure that everything is cool and all, but yeah. Face. That'll, yeah. Past me, we're going to have to do a whole lot of serious renovation work for Pod 12 to get this really ready for prime time. Yeah, um, just so you can get a glimpse of how things look currently and are working before we really get to work working on these things. We're gonna launch Uru again real quick here, and I've already done an export like this last night, or 2 nights ago. Anyway, so particles and all sorts of things. Yeah, I'm working on a bunch of things, and including, thanks to Hazido, we have a mostly working crystal book GUI. I think some of the issues I'm having are mainly due to Korman and other things, which I'll get into later. But you'll get to see a working crystal book today. Mostly working. I'm not going to link through it just yet, but you will see the GUI come up, and it will have a linking panel on it, even though it's not the right linking panel, but it will be a linking panel nevertheless. Whee! Yeah, office. Oop. Ah! This has been fixed because I submitted the age SDL and the age file to the Destiny shard. So that means I can just come up here, click this, and it'll open without issue. And if I click here, I must have changed that back. That's why it's not showing. But anyway, Crystal Book. Yeah, I'm having issues with the linking stuff. Anyway, if we go look through the window here, you'll see, you can see the volcano through the window. That's why I roughed up the terrain there a bit, so you could get a good view of it. Is that a little conspicuous and weirdly placed? Yeah, a smidgen, but it's really supposed to be catching the eye a bit. Like, especially if you're coming up here and you're looking at it from out here. Yeah, look at that. That's a nice little nice little view. Imagine some smoke coming off of there, some moving clouds in the sky. Yeah. The lighting on these cliffs are going to be really interesting. I'm ignoring the pink voids. Anyway, you can, eventually you'll be able to come up here and get a look at the volcanoes from up here. You'll be able to see smoke and all that. I've also roughed up the cliffs here so you can get a bit more of a view of it. And it helps them feel a little more naturally eroded over time. But you can see, like, where past me was not being very careful about blending textures together. And we're going to have to really rectify a lot of this going forwards. Like, if you look here, this is just, like, very blatantly, I just took a strip of texture and just retextured it without really caring much about what I was doing. Which, you know, that is what it is. That's... Anyway, the idea eventually is going to be that you're going to be walking with fireflies along here, and this cave is very hard to see in right now. Like, there's light pouring in from the ceiling, but I am having a really hard time seeing in here as it is at this time of night. Like, let's cycle through the time of day here. Net force 0.0. Okay, that's cool. Now you can see the ground, but it's still... Whoa, there we go. That's nice and bright from that angle. But, again, you're going to see the problem here is that the light is seemingly coming through rock here that, is actually solid. So I'm going to have to, like, adjust some of the geometry here to make the lighting work better. Let's, now see, this is directly overhead. This works fine, because it's directly overhead. But again, you'll see I was I have not been very cautious about blending my textures together, and that is something that I am really going to have to rectify in releasing this place. Like, look at this, look at this. That's just shoddy. That's just shoddy. I can do better than that now. I'd be thinking, why don't you just rebuild all of this? Well, for starters, it took me a really long time just to build this as it was. And, yeah. Anyway, fun little thing that you're not going to really see much is there's actually two volcanoes. Well, technically, two. Two fronts of a volcano. They're not actually, full volcano models, because you don't need to see them from the back. But yeah, lighting is, real-time lighting is something that is going to be really, really difficult to get right here. Because, yeah, I think what Past Me did was really, really good at the time, but these fissure cracks are, like, way too narrow for the amount of light that's getting through into here. So we're going to have to do a couple of things. First and foremost is, of course, just cracking open the ceiling a bit. One would have needed the fire marble torch from the dirt demo. Yes, Pradden, welcome. In this case, we're going to be doing fireflies eventually. Assuming we can get a custom Python script put together that combines the Gira and Chemo firefly bug handling scripts. Because Cyan wrote two different scripts that are mostly copy-pasta, but the differences between them do different things, so between the different ages, so it's... yeah. Anyway. So before we decide really where we're going to be putting... like, I'm happy with the vent placement out here in the main area, but in order to really place the vent stuff in here... let me turn off backface color here. Look at this. Look at how much of this is just solid. Like, that is a lot. That is not necessarily letting the light through properly. I mean, look at this. This is... where is the light for this coming from? These are very narrow cracks. They should be casting shadows. So, in the end, as much as I like this middle fissure here as it is... here. Much as I like this, we're gonna have to just widen it. And we're just gonna have to do that all over the place. And I'm gonna switch to solid here because it's gonna be easier to see. And you might be asking, Harley, didn't you say you were going to talk about, oh, what was it? Oh, the, pointer particles, right. Or the thing in the title, whatever it is. So, yeah, I was working in Nabry, yes, or not Nabry. I was working in, the Reishu apartment, like I said, and I came across the issue with the, the issue with the soft volumes vanishing on me. You may remember that, you may not. Anyway, point is, that spurred on a whole lot of, oh, hey, I've got the bug happening right now. Let's try and figure out what the heck is going on. And long story short, we've mostly figured out that the way that Blender currently in, so a feature was introduced in 2.79, like right before everything switched over to 2.8, and it changed everything. And yeah, building canyons is yep, yeah, Brad, I totally get that. Yeah, so basically, the issue we found was that Blender was improperly keeping track of ID motes. So like you tell Blender, oh, I have an object here that is, I have an object that is supposed to, where was I just a moment ago? There we are. Okay. So the thing was is that Blender is supposed to keep track of how many like if I go here and you look here and you see it says 113 users for this texture. What was happening is that Blender, in certain cases, actually in quite a lot of cases, is improperly keeping track of what objects are referencing, and sometimes on export, it has a tendency to take certain objects and miscount them when they are removed. But yeah, anyway, point is that, Blender was not keeping track of things properly. And because it was not keeping track of things properly, it was leading to some objects being erroneously said to have no users, and therefore being flagged for deletion. So you see how these materials here have green check marks on them? That means that they are going to be saved on open close. They're not going to be purged. Because Blender itself has been told, okay, keep this object even if there are no users for it. And essentially, yeah, essentially by doing that, you're saving it from being saving things from being erroneously deleted, which is very handy. But yeah, so basically, what was going wrong with our light boxes, our light groups and soft volumes was yeah, Blender was miscounting how many users a particular item had, and therefore it was deleting things that shouldn't be deleted. There is a patch being worked on at the moment for this. Anyway, the point is that a whole lot of things are being improperly saved at the moment, and eventually they will be properly saved. But we haven't officially released the patch for that yet. Mostly because I have not even tested it yet. Or not fully tested it. We have a fix that we think should work, but we haven't, like, well, at least I haven't tested it, so I can't say for certain whether it works or not, because I have not tested it. Anyway, point of all that rambling is that eventually we're going to have a fix for that issue, and when we do, it will be when we have a fix for it, it will be pushed, it'll be in the next Korman base build, I believe. So yeah. Just thought I'd pass that info along, because yeah, we have a lead on a bug fix, and it's going to be implemented at some point. Yeah, that's about it on that front. So yeah, we're just gonna try to widen these fissure gaps, let them more light in. What is because past me was clever and merged these faces. Okay. Should separate that. Boom. Okay. I'm just gonna pull this in. Like that. And we're gonna come along in here. We're just gonna widen that. Widen that a bit. What is this? That is an intersecting plane from another part of the mesh. Well, we've got a big old tiny fissure here that I thought was going to be very... Yeah. Well, let's expand it a bit. I thought it would have been cute to have just a little tiny pinprick of light coming through here, but needs change, wants change, and in this case I am prioritizing how much light is going to come through here. That's a bit nicer, but I'm just going to continue expanding. Then we're going to come up here. Yep, look at that. Super narrow fissure. Then we got the same issue over here. Yep, let's look at that. Boop. Just going to stretch this along. That barely avoids colliding with this bit over here, which is fine with me. Just going to select this bit here, pull it along here, along, widening this gap so more light can come through. Yeah, as nice as I got these tight seams originally, and how much I fussed over them, honestly, they're just getting in the way of the lighting at this point. And sometimes you just have to say, past me, what were you doing? That's stupid. Let's change that. Yeah, look at that right there. That's some bit of a mesh poking through from somewhere else. And I'm gonna make things a little easier on myself by triangulating everything. Just gonna take that. And yeah, that can be brought down a bit more. That smooths things out a little bit more. But we're still looking at a very, very narrow gap in here, and I'm not happy with that still. So I'm going to select that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this brings in a bit more light, more natural light. Yeah, that looks nicer. Of course, now I gotta fill in this whole gap here that I have crudely left open. Rotate that by the z-axis just a smidge. Rotate that by the y-axis a bit. There we go. And I'm going to bring that in just a bit more too. So, boop, boop, boop. Now we're just going to come along in here. We're just going to start. Just going to start grabbing these faces and gonna extrude them inwards a bit. Yeah, look at that. That's a little sticking out in a way I don't like. Pull that up. Pull that in. There we go. So we're opening up the space in here a bit to give it a little bit more lighting. So yeah, it needs a little bit more light to get through in here, right? Oh. Oh. Yeah, I hear that, Brad. I have a lot of Blender installs that are very... that are... I need to get rid of some of my older ones, I think, because they are just not doing any good sitting on my hard drive. Ledge that most people are probably not even going to see, but I like that. So the is going to become for pod 12, how much of the surface am I going to have to build, and how much of the versus how much of the underground that I already have built. And I think question is, I'm going to try to remain in the keep it underground for as much as possible grouping. Yeah, look at that, we've got gaps in here still. Let's pull that in. Yeah, and let's just carve up like that. I can live with a little bit of connection up there still. The goal here really is just to open up the lighting and give us a lot more to work with. I need to do one vertex there. Okay, I'm gonna just on here. This line needs to be widened. Oh, there's an easy place to pull things in a bit. So yeah, the idea here is that the things that are holding supports are gonna have more rock above them than the parts that don't. Get that widened out a bit more, yeah. This area here, put that in. That in a bit more. And again, this is all areas that that we're probably not even really be able to visit until the second or so release, but I want to get this all sorted out as quickly as possible. I don't want that clipping there. Okay, let's see here. There's all of this. This is right there. Okay. I'm just gonna delete that face right there. That'll make things easier. this is the part where we gotta get a little creative with where things are. Okay, I think that'll work. Oh. I'm just going to shrink that in, pull that in, give me a little bit more wiggle room to work with. But then I'll know it's there. I'll know what's there. Oh, the little ledge. Yeah. The little ledge that I did. Yeah, I'll know it's there. And you'll follow. Likely know it's there. But unless you watch the video, you're not going to know it's there. That's where I'm getting thrown off. Delete that face. Yeah, there we go. Boop, boop, boom. Boop, boop, boom. Okay. Yeah, that little lip light there. It stays. I might use that to hide an Easter egg. I might put something on the little lip just to hide something out of sight. Yeah, that looks a lot more like a crumbling away ceiling. Question. That'll give us a little more lighting, I think. Okay. And there's like one little vertex right down here. That up. Squeeze that in. Okay. I think. I think that should do the trick. So yeah. Let's test this and take a look at that in person. This is the waterfall cave before you get into the tunnels, buddy. This is one of the Rocky Spire. Yeah, yeah. I'll give you a quick tour once we're done exporting. So yeah, so you get an idea of where we are. Oh, but I just went through a whole rough explanation of the pointer property issues we were discovering yesterday. Oh boy, yeah. Yes, should be a fix for that coming hopefully soon. I will probably test that out and then other things and good news is Amethyst was poking around at Neighbory and managed to figure out where I was missing things, and so the next Neighbory update should at least be possible now. I've still got to go through and retexture things that I'd screwed up previously while trying to get things to work, so no idea when that'll go up, but I got it. But at least things will be working for exporting again. So yeah. Okay, so here we are in the main office. And then partially working linking stone. Woohoo! And still having export issues. And if you look out the window, you will see a hint of a volcano. Woo. And then a hint of some more stuff in the background there. Okay, so net force 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So yeah, this part of the cliffside has been completely crumbled away, so you can see the volcanoes in the distance. We were working on this area in here just a minute ago. Oh yeah, that looks much nicer and more believable for lighting, I think. Let me drop here. So yeah, this is just beyond this gate. I still need to do the water. That's going to go in here. Yeah. Nice ceilings. But I am noticing one crucial flaw. For all that I just did, the light still needs to come. Light still needs to come in from that direction somehow. Yeah, I still have too much ceiling overhead for all of this lighting. Yeah, all of this up there, I need to punch a hole in that. But over here, it feels very much like the ceiling has completely come down onto the ground here, doesn't it? Look at that. Yeah. That looks like the ceiling has completely crumbled away due to an earthquake. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's starting to look. Still gonna need to retexture all of it, but I'm really happy with how that is definitely starting to look. So I just need to punch some holes in up here. Yeah, basically, here, let me zoom out here. There's the volcanoes. Whee! They are right up against the edge of the sky dome. As you can see, there's a whole lot of space in here. Part of this is I'd like to give myself room for expansion. Part of this is, yeah. Anyway, over here is where I have too much. I have too much stuff over here, so I'm just gonna pull this back. Try and get that roughly lined up. That back. Pull that back. Gives us a little more room. The problem is that I gotta now be very. I now need to make a decision for my sight lines. Am I going to carve more of a fissure hole in here? Basically expand this sinkhole a bit this way. I think I'm going to say yes, I am. So, yeah, we're just going to shrink this, pull this down a bit. I'm just going to select these, and I'm going to hit smooth. I'm going to shrink, pull it down, and smooth it out a bit more. Okay, I'm going to pull this down, pull this down. So, yeah. So we're going to widen the shape of that a bit. Even though that'll kind of wreck the impression of the star fissure pattern that I put in there, I think. Excuse me a moment. I need water. One nice thing about the desk setup is that I can now get up and get water quicker than I did before. Pratt says, it's fun to create damage through erosion in age building. Yeah. Mm, one of the things with Nabry, that I had to really put into consideration was how does this cliff top change over time? And how does a lot of this change over time? Because for starters, you have to yeah, because you got to like consider where the geometry is for what you're currently working on. Then you have to consider where is this going, and you have to consider what are the environmental impacts of this being somewhere else now. Because again, the thing is that thing really is that I think this support pillar has to go. So I'm just gonna, oop, get rid of it. And then with the back face calling off, boop, 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 that face, then boop, 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 delete that face. There we go. Yeah. Okay, I like that. This has to go. Yeah, that opens the space up nicely. That really lets it breathe. I sound like one of those home renovation show people right now. Just saying, oh yeah, it really opens up the space to tear apart this bit of geometry like that. Yep. Oop. T. Oop. 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 Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, then you see we have these little weird edges, like right here, where things are kind of clipping through in an uncomfortable way. So, like, I'm just gonna grab these, pull them in a bit. There we go. Yeah. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yep, 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 yep. Okay. I'm gonna pull these back and inward a bit. Boop. Face. Triangulate. Boop. Face. Face. Triangulate. Now, see, Brad, that design right there, you have two erosion protection walls, and one has a boulder that managed to roll over the top of it and broke something. That is, that is absolutely the kind of world building and debris that you need for stuff like this. Now, I'm just going to pull that in. Give us a little more light in here. It's going to start to clip through the top of that, so we're going to do that. I'm going to pull that in, pull that in. See here, I need to now pull pull that out. There we go. Ooh. Oh. I think I made the desk too high still. There we go. Lower it down. That's better. Now my shoulders aren't hurting so much. One downside of getting a new desk is that you gotta, especially one that's movable, although it's also the nice upside of a movable desk, is you need to get used to, you gotta find the right heights for your things, because, like, sure, I could do lots of streaming standing up, but I could do lots of streaming sitting down, you know? So, it's all about figuring out where things are gonna go. I mean, mean, even in real life, like, it's the same for building a virtual space like this is the same as what you got to do for real life in places is figure out where does this feel natural to have it like this, and where does it feel like I am stretching my arms way too far. Like that. See, that was way too far of a stretch. So I gotta like pull this more forwards. Yeah. Boop. 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 There we go. But now you may have realized, hey, there's a problem. I just tore out a big chunk of rock and there's no debris down there. Well, fortunately for us, I have a bunch of debris chunks right here. I'm going to duplicate. Okay, so this is what I just said about the pointer property thing earlier. This should have equally raised up the user count by 3, and it looks like it did. But if you're not being careful, it will absolutely it'll absolutely, yeah, see, like right here you see all these linking book bits right here that are sorry, these things are temporary models that are supposed to be cleaned up on export, but for some reason they're not getting completely wiped out. And yeah, that is exactly what is going wrong. Is that is that the thing that's supposed to keep track of this stuff is not keeping track of this stuff. I'm gonna take advantage of this debris bit. And I'm gonna force out another I'm just gonna give another, like, the dock here, because that might be too much debris. Actually, I'm gonna make this be the reason that we have a bit of a blockade here, honestly. So yeah, so we come in here, we have this debris right here, it's just sort of really kind of blocking the way a bit. And it's still letting water through, but it's not gonna be something that players can swim through. Whoops. Yeah, like that. That'll be part of the reason we have the little blockade here, because it's gonna change the water flow right here and how the water flows through the river. Because it's now become a whole lot more of a tiny space for a lot of water to rush through. So it's going to cause the current value to change. And down here, eventually, you know, the water is going to come out here and go gushing down. The question is, did I give that I given this enough room to be believable? I'm gonna say no. I think I still need to punch a hole through right here. We're just gonna do that. Do that. I'm gonna scale it out. Scale it up. Scale it out. Oops. Scale that in by the x-axis. Scale that in by the y-axis. Rotate that slightly. And then I'm just gonna delete that face. Yeah, that'll do. Out by the y-axis, scale it out by the x-axis. Scale that out by the x-axis, scale that out by the y-axis, rotate it a smidge. Yeah! And then I'm going to come along in here, I'm going to smooth that vertex a bit. Smooth it. Do that. And smooth, smooth. And scale it a bit by the y-axis there. There we go. See, that's going to give us a nice little chunk of light to come through there. So we're going to export this again. And we're going to take a look at how it looks. And I think it's going to look a lot better now. I am, though, going to have to seriously retexture a lot of this now that I've done all this hole punching and stretching and mesh breaking. But yeah. That's going to be a project for another day, I think. Sorry about my throat being so dry and crunchy today. Yeah, that kind of messed up the fissure shape a little bit, but not too badly. It's a livable change at any rate. Hey, net force, time of day, 0.4. So where is this dead body from? And I think I need to punch another hole in the ceiling. Yeah, I think I'm going to need to punch one more hole in the ceiling to make sure that the lighting over here feels earned, I suppose. Yeah, that feels good. That doesn't feel as good. And this looks good. I like that. It, gives the feeling that a lot of stuff has fallen away. Got the giant rocks there. It looks good. These paths. That little gap in there. Okay, I think, yeah. I need one more hole over in that side. Indeed, breaking up an organic mesh is a very nice project for today. I don't have as much room to work with here, but I'm gonna work with what I got, and that's this bit right here. Yeah. How high is what do I need to go to match? I'm already going high enough. I'm clipping through the other bit here. Which means I might be able to get away with... Let me go this way, actually. Look at that. Slight bit of crossover there, slight bit of crossover there. I'm just gonna get rid of the ceiling, actually. Just I'm gonna pull this in a bit. I'm gonna pull this out a bit. And then I'm gonna pull this aside. Okay. I'm just gonna select the outer edge here. E. Pull it out like this. I'm gonna roll it on the y-axis to level it out a bit. Like that. And then scale it on the y-axis a bit. I'm just going to come along on this seam here. Pull it back a bit. Yeah, like that. And then I'm just going to hit smooth on that. It's a bit more. No. Why are you doing it like that for? There. Anyway. looks a little weird, but it feels more like a fault line. Nope. So, problem now is I gotta raise this up to the equivalent floor height. And scale that. Like that about here. I'm just gonna select some random vertices there to pull them out. I'm just gonna grab these. Ooh, wait, no, I'm just gonna grab that one and pull it like that. These go like that. Okay. And of course, another challenge with having fireflies as a puzzle element and then having a big open ceiling like this. Rain. If it rains, you're going to have a hard time getting through this. Which, arguably... Oh, that's the wrong mesh. Arguably, that's part of the point. Is to have a hard time with fireflies, because the fireflies are part of the challenge. You know, people will probably hate me for doing a firefly puzzle, but... I think I can be forgiven in that regard. Let's turn back face cooling back on. Duplicate this. Bring it over here where we have some of this. Duplicate it. Yoink. Bring this down here. Duplicate. I will probably at some point come along and delete the bot meshes off of these. I'm still just in... I think I'm still just in the, get everything looking like it's, really just... I don't know. Looking like it's something, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Oh. I think I'm gonna stop the stream right now. And I'll pick it back up next time. Yeah. We'll, talk to you guys later. Bye. Take care. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry for cutting this short. I gotta go.